Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody. We're listening to Buzzbucks.
I don't even know that song.
That's an old 19th century song.
And that's what you came out with.
Yeah. To my defense, it's in the Resident Evil games. So somebody might know it from that. It's an old folk song.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Thank you.
Welcome to BuzzPucks.
Bert.
I'm Clay. I'm also unhappy. We're at week 4.
Is that where we are? We're in week 4 of the NHL season.
Jesus Christ.
He's not going to help you. We're here to tell you about all the comings and goings in the NHL and some questionable decision-making by one particular team.
I don't know what they're talking about.
But before any of that, Clay, what are we listening to? What are we drinking?
We are drinking Bell's
Bales.
Brewery out of Michigan. Yes, Michigan.
Yeah, it's
we are drinking their Lager of the Lakes. What does it say on there? It's
Bohemian Pilsner.
It's a Pilsner. It is just as refreshing as taking a dip in the lake. Yep, there it is.
With less parasites.
With less parasites. Hey, it's Michigan. They're about the Great Lakes. There's some Great Lakes.
Doesn't mean there's not parasites in them. I just assume any wild water, it probably has parasites in it.
Well, some would say these lakes are superior.
Just open your beer. Don't make me sing Go Tell Aunt Rhody again.
I deserved it.
The old gray goose is dead. That's what the actual
Seriously?
lyric is, yeah.
I haven't played a single Resident Evil game.
It was in like the last 2. Oh, I don't play them. There's this particular group I watch on YouTube that I watched recently because it was Halloween,
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
and it's like the theme song of Resident Evil 7 and 8 for some reason. I don't really know why, but that's why it was stuck in my head. I'm like, I'm going to sing that song. I bet Clay doesn't know that
I
song.
have no idea. I was... Woof.
All right, you want to start us off?
I will start us off.
Yes, we should get to the garbage
We should get to the garbage.
first, probably.
We're going to start with the Atlantic,
Yep.
and we're going to start right off the top with Boston. Because-
Boston.
They're in alphabetical order.
Oh, okay.
Boston had a pretty good week on the ice. 2-1. They're 10-2
That is good.
overall.
I hate them.
I know, right? They
Hate it.
beat Pittsburgh in overtime.
Yes, they did.
Then they beat the Rangers outright.
Mm-hmm.
And then they lost for the first time in 7 games against Toronto.
Yeah, it's weird. They looked really distracted in that game. I don't know why, though.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? In between the Rangers game and the Toronto game, we'll get to it.
Do you want to just keep that for last?
We'll get to it, yeah.
Okay.
But that's the bad news that's coming out. It's a bit of a distraction for the team. Now, they did run into a very hot...
Yeah, Toronto actually
Toronto?
decided to start playing again.
Yeah, they ran into a very hot team. So it just could have been... it could be a coincidence that...
I like my version of the story better.
I do too, that they lost. But you could also say that there's a huge off-the-ice distraction going on, and this is
Bigly. A Bigly problem.
contributed to their loss. They were perfect on the power play. Not power play, penalty kill.
Be really impressed if they're perfect on the power play. Jesus.
It'd be terrifying.
They were 13 for 13 on the power play this week. Outstanding numbers.
Perfect on the penalty kill. Hampus Lindholm is actually their top player of the week.
Nice.
He had a dominant game against Pittsburgh,
Yep.
which he carried on to have against Pittsburgh. He scored the overtime game winner and had 3 assists on top of that. He finished the week with 2 goals, 4 assists.
That's dumb.
Marchand, there was actually a penalty shot this
really?
week.
Oh, penalty shots are always
There's a couple, actually. Marchand scored the 1 goal against Toronto on a penalty shot.
Pretty cool.
We're going to move on to Buffalo,
Buffalo.
which played with their reverse retros this
They
week.
looked good.
They looked real good. Also in Buffalo news, the red and black goat head is back.
Hell yeah. Should be back to stay permanently.
Their third alternates, their jersey rotations coming out like the past couple of years have just been
Dirty good.
so
Not
good.
fair.
They're
The drip.
they're so pretty.
And like on top of that, they're a team on the upswing, so you can
Yeah.
be like, ooh,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah. You're just excited to see them do good. They look good. They play good.
Looking good, feeling good.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
So they went 2-2 this week.
All right.
They
Reading his own handwriting.
well, I just wrote over my mistake instead of actually
Oh, okay.
like
like scratching it out.
right. Yeah,
I do that too.
they stomped Detroit 8-3. That
Jesus.
in which Tage Thompson had a 6-point game, 3 goals, 3 assists.
He's that boy's a monster.
Then they battled back to beat Pittsburgh, second.
Yep. Yeah, they sure did.
Then they lost to Carolina, and then they lost to Tampa Bay wearing those super nice jerseys.
That just made me think of Tampa Bay's jerseys.
Yes, we'll talk about Tampa Bay's jerseys. 5 for 17 on the power play. Not
pretty good.
Not that good on the penalty kill.
Oh,
Only rocked 70% on the penalty kill.
that's not good.
Tage Thompson is their top player.
I should hope so with a 6-point game.
Right. 4 goals, 5 assists on the week.
Pretty good.
Also in that Detroit game, they outshot Detroit 46-18. They destroyed Detroit.
I will say Detroit did get 3 goals on those
18 shots. Yeah.
That's not very good. But,
No. That was
they scored 8, so I'm sure everybody will just ignore that part.
they got a little sloppy on defense towards the end. Also,
If you were up by 7 goals, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I
And
would.
You're like, yeah, go ahead. Have fun.
Comrie did have a not that good of a week. He played 3 of the 4 games. He averaged 0.85.
Oof.
Yeah, he didn't have a good week. None of the goalies did.
Nah. 2-2 is nothing to
2-2 ain't
to be
bad.
upset about.
7-5. That's good for Buffalo.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
And we're in
Yawning.
another month. It's not October. There's
Yeah.
still one.
5:15 and it's pitch black outside.
Yes, it is.
Yay.
Daylight savings.
Daylight savings.
My dog has not adjusted.
Mine's fine. Although somebody was firing off fireworks last night.
Oh, that's great. That's
She
fun.
was just so stressed.
My dog is at 4:45 in the morning now, demanding kibble.
Haha.
Yeah, I know.
Haha.
We're gonna move on to Detroit. Like I just said, they got stomped by Buffalo.
Yeah.
Then they beat Washington in regulation. They shut out the Islanders, and then they beat the Rangers in overtime. So in a 3-1 week for
they
them,
took out their angers from the Buffalo game
they
on
really did.
the rest of the teams.
The
this week.
Metro.
Yeah, on the Metro.
Okay, I brought it back.
Dead air.
Dead air. Yep. That couldn't read my own handwriting.
Dead air.
11-14 on the penalty kill. It's not a lot of good penalty kills right now.
Well, other than Boston's.
Dylan Larkin, 2 goals, 3 assists. He's the top points getter. They are 7-3-2. They're looking pretty. They're on the bounce.
That's really good, yeah.
They're on the bounce back.
Yeah. I mean, you get an embarrassing game.
It's gonna happen.
At the beginning of the year, there's a lot of like, what the hell is that game? Sort of. We've said this several times at this point, but stuff starts to tighten up November, December for the rest of the year.
We're
We'll
gonna,
see as many 8-3 games.
I hope we do.
I hope we do too. I mean, for my team, I hope they score that many goals or win any games. But it's always fun when it's a blowout, unless it's your team that's getting destroyed. Yeah.
Or that reverse.
Or if it's a shootout and it's like the final score of the game is like 8-7 or something like that. That's always fun. Not if you like defense, but or
but sometimes you'll have those games where 2 really good teams meet each other.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun game because they're just
That game can end up 2-1 too. You know?
Right.
That's still a really good
But they're
game.
just going back and forth.
Yeah.
You can also have those games when you have two of the worst teams meet up against each other.
Parody.
Because they're just so bad, they're just scoring on each other left and right.
Or
We
you can...
have that this week.
Oh yeah. Or I can remember distinctly a Penguins game where they went up 7-0 against the Devils a couple years ago.
And then
the Devils almost came back and tied
Yes.
the game. I think it ended up 7-6 or 8-7 or something.
So we
like
have
that.
a game like that a little bit later on. Not
Oh,
as
okay.
extreme, but
That was such a hard
like that.
game to watch because
you
I was
you
just
could
like,
feel it.
hell yeah. And then they would just score. I was like, no. Please stop. Please stop.
Florida. I didn't write their overall record because I forgot.
That's fine.
But 2-2 this week.
That's
They started
500.
the week off by losing to Arizona, which I think Arizona went perfect this week
They
based
didn't
on.
go perfect.
Oh, okay.
But they were over 500.
They were.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yes.
They actually look like a team.
Nick
Playing in a college arena, look what it's doing for them.
Nick Ritchie is on fire.
Who would have guessed that?
He has game winners for at least 2 games this week.
He maybe I should have looked into it more. He maybe has 2+ goals each week so
Yeah.
far. Yeah. It's crazy.
Lost to Arizona. 3-1.
We're talking about Florida.
We're talking about Florida. I'm going to bring up Arizona again just because their power play is on fire.
Yeah, really.
Because Florida was 2 for 4 on that penalty kill. They beat San Jose in a shootout, lost to the Kings, and then beat Anaheim to finish the week.
They're on a West Coast swing.
They are on the West Coast swing. That they were away every single game. The Anaheim game I watched last night. It was a lot of fun. The first period, the Panthers were in complete control, going up 2-0. Then, in the span of 15 seconds in the second period, the Ducks tied it.
Nice.
And looked like they were going to take the game super easy, and then the Panthers pulled ahead to win it in the third. So they turned off for one period, and it did not look good. So Carter Verhaeghe, 4 goals, 2 assists this week.
Really good.
Yeah, I don't have much to say.
Yeah, there's a
They
few
seem
teams.
they seem to be. Florida is having a problem right now. Basically, with that Anaheim game, they're doing the
Consistency.
same thing.
Yeah.
They
Or,
are
what's it called?
turning off.
60-minute effort.
Yep,
Yeah.
they're not putting the full 60 minutes in.
Yep. There's a team that we're going to talk about later who isn't doing that either, who should be winning more games, and then they blow several leads.
Are we talking about the Penguins, the Capitals, or the Canucks?
All of them.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you get to talk about the Canucks. But...
There's a race for the bottom. Montreal. Is
Well,
up next.
2 of those 3 teams, I think, will probably turn it around eventually. And then there's the Canucks. So,
There's also the Capitals. We'll see.
well, they're injured, but
All right.
the Penguins have no excuse.
0-2-1 this week for Montreal.
There they are.
Now these were some pretty good teams. Winnipeg's playing really well right now. They
That's
lost
true.
to them in overtime. They lost outright to Minnesota by a great defensive and goalie effort from Fleury.
Yeah. Is that a shutout?
No, it was 1-4.
I'm thinking of Minnesota's other game.
And then they lost to Vegas 4-6. So
Scored 4 goals against Vegas.
they scored 4 goals against Vegas. They were 2 for 6 on the power play, but unfortunately 9 for 13 on the penalty kill. Yeah. They're 5-6
There's your
and
problem.
1 overall.
That's certainly better than people
11
thought. That
it's 11
Montreal
points
was
right
going
there.
to- Yeah. So
Nick Suzuki scored in all 3 games. He had 4 goals and 1 assist. And then Kirby Dach also was passing him the puck because he had 1 goal and 4 assists.
that's so
for the
weird.
week.
Why would you trade that kid?
I don't know why you'd get rid of that kid.
Weird.
Who would have thought?
God.
Yeah, Montreal actually looked pretty good in those losses, but unfortunately, that's
loss
sports.
Is a loss, unfortunately. Regardless of how well you play, you still
Speaking
lose.
of losing, Ottawa 0-3 this week. They are on a 5-game skid.
Oh, boy.
They're 4-7 overall. They lost a close one to Tampa Bay, where Kucherov just took control at the end of that game. Then they lost to Vegas, which that's that game I was talking about. Vegas put up 5 goals. No, it was 1-1 in the first. Vegas put up 4 straight.
To make it 5-1.
To make it 5-1, and then they were able to hold off Ottawa's comeback. Because Ottawa came screaming back in that game.
Screaming demon.
And then they finished the week by losing to Philadelphia.
Nice.
I'm not gonna. They don't get a top player.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I will say, Claude Giroux scored his 300th career goal in that loss against Philadelphia.
It's funny that it was against Philadelphia.
It was against Philadelphia. That's when he got that goal. He did score 4 this week, but they still lost 3.
He's looking good.
He's looking good. Stutzla was looking good this week, but
I mean, who's even playing goal for Ottawa?
It was
Talbot injured.
Talbot's back.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He was put in. Forsberg got yanked in the.
Forsberg, that's the other goal.
Forsberg got yanked in the Vegas game. Talbot was perfect coming in, 13 for 13, and then he played in that loss against Philly, but he played all right.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Ottawa right now. They're just
defensively, they're just not really there.
They're just not there.
They're putting up the goals, but they're just not.
Yeah.
And then the times where they don't put up the goals, they're not winning.
Right.
Like in that Minnesota game.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay.
T-Bay.
Looking good this week. 2-0-1 for 7-4-1 overall.
Looking better than they had been.
Looking better than they have been. Yeah. I think they're
rough first couple of weeks, but they've turned it back around.
Yes. They beat Ottawa like I mentioned. Vasilevsky let in 3 goals on 15 shots.
Ooh, trade him.
Trade him away. That Tampa Bay game, Ottawa was outshot 34-15.
Christ.
Tampa just dominated.
Christ. There's been a lot of those games where it's been like that team had 40 shots and that team had 12.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lost to Carolina in the shootout. Vasilevsky is their top player in that game because he saved 52 shots on 55.
All right, don't trade him. There's one. There's
always
one jabroni on like the Tampa Bay subreddit that's like Vasilevsky's washed after that one game,
And Buffalo was the game of the reverse retros. Both teams wearing them.
Tampa Bay's is horrible.
I love Tampa Bay.
I don't remember what we said about it in the reverse retro. I really don't.
Well, because it's got the rain,
it's
got
too
the
much
storm,
going on. There's just
it's got
too
the
much
lightning.
happening.
I love it.
If they took out one of those elements, I think it would look better. It just looks too busy to me.
It is beautifully ugly.
Ugh.
Beautifully ugly. It is so gross. It becomes cute.
It's not good. Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know.
They fully embrace the 90s aspects.
We were looking at it together during that game. You were over, and we put it on the TV, and I was just like,
oh buddy. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
It does not look good on the ice.
No, it doesn't. No, not even a little bit.
No.
But that's it. It's one of those things. Just like it's so gross. I love it. It swings the other way.
It's because you're a psycho.
Yeah, that's true. 14 for 15 on the power play.
On the penalty kill?
Nope, I meant 4 for 15 on the power play.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like 14 for 15.
Something was right.
Did they score 14 goals this week?
That'd be amazing.
Someday
they only
I hope
scored
some
12.
team is just like, Edmonton went 12 for 13 on the power play this
beautiful.
week. That's the one team I think maybe could do it with
Yeah.
McDavid and Draisaitl.
Well, yeah.
And then still lose 3 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
What is Burt Edmonds?
In the Buffalo game, Nick Perbex
Okay.
scored his first NHL goal.
That's a pretty sweet name.
Was the game winner.
Purbex sounds like a place that you would get like shakes at.
No, it's
Like I'm gonna
it's
go,
like it's a
I'm gonna
grocery.
go to Purbex at the mall.
It's a grocery store in Florida.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just a grocery store.
Or
in Florida.
no, I thought it was Publix.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, there's something that's really close to that name.
Nikita Kucherov had a great week.
Head over to Purbex and pick up some cereal for tomorrow.
Make sure you get that malto meal, the giant generic brand. It comes in 2-pound bags.
God,
for $5.
I'm gonna go get cereal lows at the Purbex.
Get me some marshmallow mateys.
That kind of tastes like Cheerios, but like not exactly.
Kucherov had 3 goals and 5 assists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job,
Yeah,
Kucherov.
you did a great game.
I'm still laughing at my cereal joke.
Their Frosted Flakes are still called Frosted Flakes, but they don't have a tiger. It's some sort of cat.
It's Timmy the Tabby.
Yep, that's it.
It's just a real life picture of a cat, of a tabby cat. That's just like corn flakes. Buy grape nuts. They stop you from masturbating.
Oh my God. We don't need to get into the actual history of Kellogg.
Why? I don't know if you guys can tell. We're both like really tired.
Absolutely exhausted.
Clay mentioned that his dog is keeping them up, and I've had like a headache the entire day, and I tried to take a nap, and it just made me more tired.
Oh yeah,
So
I took a nap before.
it just made me more tired.
I looked strung out.
Yeah.
I looked strung out.
You want to talk about John Harvey Kellogg though?
No, I'm not talking about John.
Let's play the entire Dollop podcast.
Let's not do that.
Just post it as our podcast.
Ah,
Shout out to the Dollop.
goofy.
Love you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're gonna finish up these games in the Atlantic
Okay.
with Toronto,
Okay.
who went 3-0.
God damn.
Now, hopefully, the Toronto media can shut the fuck
They
up.
won't. They won't.
Because Jesus Christ,
They
it's
won't.
been like the sky is falling
Yeah.
over there.
They'll lose one more. Whenever the next time they lose a game, the sky's going to be falling
Ooh.
again.
All right, they beat Philly 5-2, pretty convincingly. Beat Boston,
Yeah.
ended that skid, and then they beat Carolina.
Yeah, they did.
I watched that game as well. They came back from
Had quite a bit of control in that game. Yeah.
and then they beat him 3-1. Calle Yarnko got the eventual game winner on that, I believe, or he tied it. I think Tavares got the game winner. Shoot.
One of those two guys scored
Yes.
to win.
3 for 9 on the power play. Very
Really
good.
Really good.
8 for 11 on the penalty kill.
Well, it's not as good, but they did win all 3 of
They
their games.
did win, so
you know, I guess you
that's
can
a
give it
good
kind
thing,
of a
yeah.
pass.
They let up a power play goal in every single game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Their top line, the Tavares, Matthews, Marner line,
They're playing those 3 together?
I think they are.
Oh, that's weird.
Um,
Cool. Because just because Tavares and Matthews are, but all 3 of those guys can play center. Actually, yeah.
Especially in that Carolina game, they just started. They put their
just,
line
like, messing around with
They put their
lines.
lines in the blender because
Yeah,
that first period they were getting nothing.
They had to do something.
They were getting absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, the way the first couple of weeks went, Toronto had to do something.
Yes.
You know.
Those 3 guys both had 5 points.
All right.
All had 5 points in
right.
some
In
combination.
some capacity. Worked.
Marner was 5 assists. Matthews split it, and then Tavares was more goals than assists. But still,
It worked.
yeah,
Apparently.
got those wins. All right, moving on to news and injuries.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with injuries. Boston. Craig Smith is day to day with an upper body. Jeremy Swayman on the IR.
Oh, that happened in the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, on the IR with a lower body injury.
Did you see how that happened?
No, I didn't.
Bergeron It was like a rush play.
Oh, no.
And Bergeron was defending it, and he just kind of it was nothing dirty by anybody, but he just kind of fell into Swayman and it hyperextended his knee backwards. And not like super far, but you don't have to go that far.
You don't have to go that far.
And it was just
anyone
like,
who's done that.
Well, because like at first I was watching the replay and I was like, what happened? Because like it just kind of looks like he bumped into him.
Yeah.
But then what happened was
you saw another angle.
His skate was on the post.
Oh.
And then Bergeron just basically went right into his knee and it just bent backwards. And I was like, oh boy.
He's on the IR.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah.
And then Derek Forbort is on the IR after having finger surgery.
There was a lot of finger surgery.
There was a lot of finger surgeries.
There's a lot of finger surgeries this week because I have at least one. I think I might have two.
Washington had one.
Yeah, a guy that I did not know who that was, but yes,
because
we'll get to him.
he's been playing due to injury, and Dahlin is day to day. He missed
from a sucker punch
last game. Really?
Yeah, from Kotkaniemi.
Really?
In that Carolina game. Yep.
Really?
Yep. He got a concussion from a sucker
that.
punch.
Yes. Yep. I didn't know he got a concussion from that.
That's why he's injured.
He is a possible for the Tuesday game.
Well, then hopefully that means that concussion wasn't that bad.
He's a possible for that Tuesday game, but he missed that Tampa Bay game. Interesting.
Yeah, gotta love how they quote unquote protect the stars.
Yes.
In the NHL.
Well,
I mean, it's not.
We'll get to that.
There's not much you can do to protect against a sucker punch, I guess. But
there are 2 suspensions.
Yes, there are.
This week.
I saw that.
Both on my teams.
Yep.
In the Atlantic. All right.
Yep.
Gonna go with Detroit. Philippe Zadina on the IR with a lower body. He blocked a shot and is apparently out for a while.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, I mean, he got injured in the line of duty, I guess you could say.
In the shutout win against the Islanders. We're going to go with Florida. Patrick Hornquist is day-to-day with an upper body.
No.
He missed the
love
Ducks
him.
game. I know you do, and I don't.
And so does my mom. Shout out, Mom. I know you're listening.
Talking about that suspension, Matt Tkachuk. Now I'm saying his name wrong on purpose.
I know. I'm well aware.
He doesn't deserve his name properly.
Oh wait, no, you said it correctly.
Dang it!
This time, you're not supposed to say the T. You always say the T.
Tkachuk. Tkachuk suspended 2 games for sticking the end of his stick in the mask of Jonathan Quick and getting his eye.
God, yeah.
If you watch the video, it's completely intentional.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next time he was close to Quick jumped him.
I would, too. If I was like, that guy definitely tried to poke my eye out. I'm going to hit him with my stick.
The fact that Anze Kopitar was in a scrum, in 12 years, he has like 2 career fights. If he is...
that seems higher than I would have guessed.
Exactly.
In many fights.
That man does not fight. No. And if
he's gentlemanly.
He's a Lady Bing winner.
Yeah.
If he's throwing punches, you messed up.
Yeah. That means you did something that was clearly dirty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially to a man's goalie who's, they spent their entire careers together.
You're supposed to protect your goalie. As we discussed, I believe, last year. You had a whole, rant about it.
Protect your goalie.
Yeah.
Don't touch the goalie.
Protect your goalie. Don't let him run your goalie.
And then...
Don't run your own goalie, Patrice Bergeron. And injuring Jonathan Swayman. What?
The Islanders injured their own goalie, Varlamov, in the Detroit game.
Oh my God! I can't believe there was 2 of those this week.
They pushed.
Bergeron's was an accident. Clearly, they were both accidents. Clearly,
I think Raymond got pushed by the defender onto.
Great.
Their own
I'm
goalie.
sure they tried to beat up Raymond though.
They did,
even though they did it to their own goalie.
Yes. Yeah. So Quick is fine.
That's good. Thank God.
He is fine.
Eye injuries are terrifying.
It took. Look at Kemper last year. He had to take himself out.
Speaking as someone who got hit really close to the eye with a pipe, a few months ago, it's really terrifying when you get an injury near your eye.
I was playing soccer about 2 years ago. I didn't
get attacked by somebody with a pipe.
No.
It was at work.
it swung out and hit you. A shark did it.
A shark did it. Yeah.
A shark hit you with a pipe.
Well, yeah. Not that we ever discussed what our actual jobs are, but
Don't worry about it.
yeah. A shark attacked me with a pipe. That's all you need to know.
I was playing soccer and I took a cross directly to the face, like point blank.
Yeah.
Right.
That'll do it.
Hit me in the eye, and I lost vision in that eye.
Nice.
Like,
I'm pretty
I
sure.
I lost half of my vision in one eye for like 15 minutes. Oh yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah, that's scary. I'm almost certain when I was a kid, I kneed myself in the eye. I don't remember why or how I did that, but like I did it.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to school with a black eye.
Nice.
And have the teachers look at me weird. And I'm like, no, I did this.
Yeah.
I kneed myself in the eye.
Yeah, it was a rec league intramural game. One of my friends, they needed a body, so he's just like, come on down. I was in that game for 30 seconds when this happened. And it's just like,
you're like, well, I'm glad I invited Clay.
Like, I can't see right now.
Where am I?
It's like, I hope this fixes itself. And it did. But that was tense.
Hope I get my vision back.
It was a tense couple, like.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Tense hour.
Like hour, yeah.
So okay.
What are we talking about? What
are we talking about?
Where are we?
Talking about Florida. Finished off that.
Oh, Kachuk.
Yeah. He missed the Ducks game and will miss the next game. I don't know who that is off the top of my head. We're going to move on to Montreal. Evgeny Dadonov is on the IR for an undisclosed. I don't understand this one. He's sick, but like, I don't think the reports say he's not IR sick. I don't know why they're shipping him there. He hasn't played well at all for Montreal.
Well, they can't just put him on the IR because he hasn't played well. They have to actually prove it to the league that he is ill or something.
Right. And that's what confuses me on
If
this.
this is one of those situations like he needs to go to detox or something like that. But usually they'll say like, oh, he entered the
player assistance
program.
And Montreal is very much on the like, hey, go
they
to the
just
player.
Did it with Price last year.
Exactly.
Yeah. That is weird. I wonder if it's like I wonder if he has like some weird infection
I don't know.
And it's like in a sensitive area or something
like
that, you know.
Think of Marian Hossa, who became allergic to his own sweat.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that forced him to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That is
happens.
strange. It is strange. Maybe he has an STD or something. That's not funny. That's not funny, Clay. God.
Syphilis is funny.
Well, it's treatable. So yeah, it is funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It got Al Capone.
Oh my God.
I forget which Anderson is the player on Montreal.
Oh, it's Josh Anderson.
Josh Anderson got suspended 2 games for boarding Petrangelo.
Yeah, he should have.
Oh, yeah, it was a bad board.
Thankfully, I don't think Petrangelo got injured. He popped right back up, I think.
Petrangelo popped right back up and started swinging.
Oh, he should have. That was very clearly a dirty boarding call.
That was
bad.
That was what happens when you make the decision to check a guy no matter what.
Yep.
Like, he had plenty...
Yep. He had plenty of time to not do that.
And then Petrangelo's chin went into that edge of the wall.
Oh, so he probably got a nice cut out of that.
It didn't look like he did, but
he got lucky then.
It could have extremely. He could have broken his jaw. That's teeth coming out right there, depending on how you hit it.
Teeth all over the place, concussion, anything like that. Yeah.
Petrangelo got lucky, but Anderson deservedly got suspended 2 games.
Oh yeah. Got a game misconduct too. I'm pretty sure in that game.
And then finally, injury-wise, Toronto, Samsonov is now day-to-day with a knee, or he's listed day-to-day with a knee.
It's Shalgren and whoever. Wall? They still have Wall?
No, it's not Wall. They just brought this guy up. Begins with a P. I never heard of this kid before.
Publix.
while it says day to day, I've also seen that he's on the IR. So
well, that might have been he might be on like the short term IR, which I think is like a week,
right,
just to have that other goalie, you know.
But it's a good thing Shalgren it's good for Shalgren's confidence that they got that win against I'm looking Carolina, because there's no backup.
Nope.
There's no backup.
Nope.
Like you're now the guy.
I can't wait till we get to Chicago because I have to mention who their goalies are, and it's two people that you will not know.
Soderblom was playing great and he got injured.
Yep.
Stalock was playing great and he's gone. It's feel bad, man.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
He got injured on the penalty shot that Marchand scored.
That's crazy.
His knee got tucked under him as he dove.
The old Ben Bishop.
Yeah, basically. All right, now this is going to be so long, and I'm so sorry.
Here we go.
Talking about Boston because
we'll have to trip through the rest of the games like kind of fast.
Yeah,
because we've already.
This is gonna.
Our delirium has dragged us on for a little bit here, but this is kind of important.
I'm gonna run through this as fast as I can. Unfortunately,
I'll try not to interrupt.
There is a lot. All right, this is about on November 4th, the Boston Bruins signed Mitchell Miller to an entry-level contract.
Shocking, everyone.
There was a lot of public outcry, both from a majority of the fan base, of the Boston fan base, most of the hockey community, and a super vocal pushback from the Boston players themselves.
Specifically Marchand and Bergeron. And Nick Foligno.
Nick Foligno was the loudest.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you don't know, the pushback. Mitch Miller was drafted in 2020. He was 111th overall, drafted by Arizona, and that blew up in Arizona's face because 3 days before that draft, Okay, I didn't say who. The 3 days before the draft, I believe it's the Phoenix Star, posted a report detailing Mitch Miller's bullying of a developmentally disabled black classmate from 2nd grade to 8th grade, which led to his a juvenile conviction in an Ohio court, which mandated a bunch of community service. He needed to apologize to the family, court-ordered apologies. So that happened. That detailed report came 3 days before the draft, basically dropping his draft stock because he was supposed to go in the first round. And Arizona, I will give them a little bit of leeway because they were in the midst of a GM change. Their GM had just walked out on them.
Shout out Chaika.
The replacement that they hired, he was the former assistant GM of St. Louis Blues. And part of him getting the GM job, he was not allowed to be a part of the 2020 draft at all. And the only good thing we can say about Chaika was on his draft board, they said, do not touch this kid.
Yep.
So they knew this before.
Had his name crossed out, essentially.
Do not touch this
kid. Don't draft him.
But the interim GM in between drafted him super late.
Well, it's like the 4th round, I think. Yeah.
But again, he's supposed to go in the first. So
True, yeah.
They tried to sneak him in. That guy lost his job for this. Arizona did,
they rescinded the draft pick.
The GM defended this pick at first because they kind of have to not look like...
Yeah, you can't be like, we shouldn't have drafted that kid.
To not look like complete idiots. But then talking to the victim's family, 3 days after the draft, they dropped him, and then he actually lost his... the college... North Dakota. University of North Dakota kicked him off the team.
Yep.
So, Miller, in his apology of that incident in 2020.
I feel like it should be quote unquote apology.
Oh, quote unquote.
I wouldn't call it an apology.
Well, because he apologized to the 31 teams, and again, not to the family.
Yeah.
So huge public outcry because it's been 2 years since this incident where everyone was just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The family says that he has not apologized, or like there's no apology whatsoever. There is a court there,
not that they accept, not that they think is good enough.
Well, there
he did, like you said, he put out
there's a court mandated letter.
Yeah.
Whether or not they received it,
I don't think that counts.
No, not at all. All right. Then on the 5th, Don Sweeney has a Zoom press conference talking about this, signing.
Yeah.
It is a absolute disaster. Basically, the entire conference, they're both simultaneously defending this signing, and he's distancing himself from it. Like, he's basically everything he said.
You did it. You did that.
Basically, everything he was saying, he basically insinuated that the president of hockey operations, Cam Neely, made him make this signing because they asked the leadership, team leadership of
what they thought about
it before he even got signed, and they asked, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah, why?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
So they did not talk to the victim's family at all.
That's good.
During this vetting process, Miller apparently apologized again on Snapchat.
Oh, wow.
Directly.
Yeah, so
great. It's great because that deletes itself after 24 hours. Yeah. And then that was a leak. He did that the week leading up to the signing. Mm-hmm. So he was in he was in conversation with the teams. I should apologize again to say I did. There we go.
Wasn't acceptable to the family. No. That's all that matters.
Also, part of what they were saying is just like apparently other teams were interested, so why shouldn't we be interested in this? But you didn't have to give him AHL maximum, and they gave him above the league minimum. So
Boston.
Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, I didn't know there was 2 pages.
Oh, there's 2 pages. Bettman joined in. The commissioner joined in, saying
this told Boston to go fuck themselves.
This kid is not eligible to play in the NHL, and they were not consulted.
I thought that was really funny.
And then on the 6th, so 2 days later, they terminated his contract.
Yep.
He's still getting paid.
Yep. Good job,
almost
Boston.
$1 million.
Yeah, great.
Because there's no way
they can't do it without him possibly suing the Bruins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they left themselves open for litigation.
And they left themselves open for everybody to be like, "What are you doing?"
Right. Neely had a press conference yesterday, the day
and it made everything better, right? Made everything better.
They said that this they ended the contract based on new information. There's no new information. Everything
the same information everyone knew already
since 2020. Yep.
Maybe he meant new, like everyone knew it, and not like new.
No, the new information was that
everyone's mad at me.
That's the new information that there's actual pushback to this signing,
including from your own players.
Right. Yeah, who were 10-1,
and then they lost. And now they're
at the start of the season,
on a 20-game losing streak, and it's all your fault, Neely.
With the injuries that they have going on, Pasta's killing it right now.
Yeah,
and
the whole team is.
The team's killing it. And now I want to talk about the team leadership that pushed back so vocally.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and I'm really
sorry. Shout out to them.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to make people like Boston's players. I'm so sorry.
I mean, Patrice Bergeron is a generally likable person.
I'm going to start with Marchand.
Okay.
Because off the ice, Marchand provides hockey gear that he pays for to First Nation players in Nova Scotia
Yes, he
to
does.
break down barriers and access to hockey.
Brad Marchand's a good guy.
Also, he and Bergeron campaigned for trans protection bill in 2016.
Yep. Yeah, they did.
And then, speaking of Bergeron, he reserves a suite in every home game, specifically for kids and teens with special needs. And then he goes up and meets those kids after every single game.
Good thing you consulted these guys, huh?
Yeah, right?
I saw on Twitter one time Brad Marchand threatened to beat up a guy for using a gay slur.
Yep. He called out
Just a random guy on Twitter. He
He
was like,
calls
I'll come and find you
other
and we'll
players
find
for
out
being racist."
like how much you want to use that word.
Nick Foligno, who was the loudest opponent
Oh yeah. At least in the media.
in the media for this, volunteers at Boston Children's Hospital because his daughter was sick. Mm-hmm. They helped save her life, and that's why he decided to sign as a free agent in Boston.
Yeah.
He volunteers there to help children with disabilities a couple times a year.
It almost makes me wish that kid did like show up and then the three of them just like beat him up in
Yep.
practice.
Charlie McAvoy advocates for the Special Olympics participation.
You're going to be like Charlie McAvoy was weirdly okay with the signing.
And this doesn't involve helping people with necessarily disabilities or minorities, but every Thanksgiving he spends at a homeless shelter feeding
That's
people
awesome.
in that shelter. And finally, we're going to talk about Chara. Not finally. We got Chara, who, though he's not in the locker room anymore.
Well, he's retired now.
Yeah, he's retired, but he spent
in
a
general.
significant career
Yeah, he did.
there, and was a leader. He was so anti-hazing that he banned the word rookie in that locker room.
And
Any sort of gray area when it comes to new rookies.
just in case you guys don't know who Chara is, he's 6'9" and this huge Slovakian monster man. You go ahead and tell him he's wrong.
Yeah, because his own words, hazing is bullying.
He's right. He's totally correct.
And finally, with Pasternak does work with the O'Ree Foundation. The
Willie O'Ree
yes,
Foundation.
the first black player, black NHL player, and he works with the Willie O'Ree Foundation helps children, people of color, get into hockey.
Play hockey.
Yeah, play hockey. He works with that foundation because he tells them in his second language, while he never will understand racial discrimination, he understands class discrimination and then help to fight both.
Goddamn.
Goddamn.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Is that it?
For right now, we can
Okay.
take a little break.
You do not be mad at the players for
No,
this. As Clay just rattled off,
The players came out looking great. The coach
because they were totally against this.
the coach wasn't. Montgomery wasn't involved in the vetting process at all.
I'm sure
he
he
was
wasn't.
left in the dark.
This really stinks of Cam Neely doing this. And I know he was like, oh, well, we got new information. Shut up, Cam. I'm glad Ulf Samuelson destroyed your knee. It's one of those like old boys clubs bullcrap thing.
Very much so.
And it's the one thing I think most, outside of people just hating Boston for being good, for just being a good team.
Boston doesn't have a good history with racism.
Well, that too. The city
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
But what was my point?
They have a good leadership.
Yeah. You
Core.
can't hate Patrice Bergeron.
No.
You can't hate Brad Marchand off the ice.
Off the ice.
On the ice, he's, Brad Marchand.
Even McAvoy has streaks on the ice,
But they're good guys off the ice,
yep.
So
And in the press
it's
conference,
just such a wild thing that the Boston front office decided to do.
oh, what did Don
Sweeney. I love that Don Sweeney was like, Cam Neely made me do it, and then Cam Neely was like, oh no, we didn't know.
Yeah. Don Sweeney said he probably wouldn't be able to forgive what Miller did if it was he did it to his kid.
Then why'd you sign him, you hypocrite?
He said that in
Oh my god.
the conference.
Oh God. There's times where I wish that we were like actual hockey reporters and I could have been there at that conference and been like, what are you talking about right now? Then why did you sign him, you idiot?
Sweeney was blaming Neely. Neely's blaming Sweeney.
Well, Neely's blaming everybody except him.
Yes. They did talk to Miller directly, but they didn't talk to the victim's family.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Sweeney did say is just like, hey, with some scouting, something on scouts. Now, there is actually a little bit of a nugget of truth to that. Because right before I came in, I saw that the college scout for the Boston Bruins is from Ohio, which is where Miller's from.
It's a red flag.
He's from Ohio. He was apparently, in the past couple of days, liking tweets that defended Miller.
Fire that guy.
While also liking tweets that were critical of Isaiah, the victim, and his family.
That man should be fired.
So there is a very good chance that
this guy's just a gross bigot.
This scout was pushing super hard for this kid. He wanted his guy. Now, Neely and Sweeney should have done more vetting.
And that guy's name is J.D. Vance.
It's Hoskins. Buck Hoskins or something like that?
I was making a politician.
Yeah. So, yes, Neely and Sweeney should have done more vetting, but they were listening to one of their...
Somebody who seems like he might be a bigot in one way or the other.
Well, your head scout, you're supposed to trust their decision.
Fire him.
Fire the president, the GM.
Fire all three of them.
Yeah, they need to go.
People wanted Sweeney and Neely fired last year.
Yeah.
For, I don't even remember why, but just in
bad
general.
Drafting.
Yeah, bad drafting.
And now I'm done talking about it. I'm done.
Yeah. Here's my take on it. People can grow and change, but you have to prove that you did that. And this kid has not done that.
In fact,
so fuck him.
There's court records from the judge saying he doesn't seem to have any remorse. He's upset that there's consequences for his actions.
Oh, no.
I know, right?
What? That's crazy. Consequences? Fuck that kid. I hope he never plays in the NHL or in the AHL or at hockey. Well, he'll probably go to Europe eventually.
Well, I mean, he's playing for Tri-City, whoever, and they were making a big stink about that when he signed for them 2 years ago.
I'm sure he'll go to the KHL eventually. Boston, I don't know why you decided to do that. It's such a PR nightmare. It looks horrible, and then you caught him 2 days later.
Yeah,
because everybody was like, "That was a bad decision." You were like, "Oh, okay."
I mean, either double down, you cowards, or don't do it in the first place.
God damn it!
The press conference with Sweeney would have been better if they said, "We don't give a shit. Fuck you."
Yeah,
that would have been better.
At least you would have been honest, because that's probably exactly what the actual answer is.
Oh, man.
Jeez, oh, man. Sweeney and Neely and that head scout need to go.
Oh.
That is so gross. That poor kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Isaiah...
I don't know his last name.
Isaiah something Crothers. It's a
hyphenated name.
I forget what the second or the first last name is.
Now, hockey families, the victim's family has been, they get a lot of stink from hockey families in the town that they're from.
Screw them too.
Because,
Screw them too. I don't care.
He was a good player.
He's not a good person.
So many character witnesses coming out right now saying how he's a good kid. That's just, shut up. He has shown no remorse for his actions, which...
I fully believe people should get second chances in life, that people can grow, but you have to prove that you have changed and growed. Growed. It's not a word. Grown.
He's shown no signs of that. He hasn't shown
anything.
Nope.
So until he does, you have no place in my NHL.
Mm-mm. Hockey is for everyone.
That's right. Not you, though.
Hockey's
for everyone except bigots.
Which the Boston players champion.
Yeah. What terrible PR. All right.
I know.
we'll try to.
It was comical, really.
That's the biggest. That was obviously the biggest news of the week. So let's try to just jump through the Metropolitan Division really quick. The Carolina Hurricanes went 3-1 this week.
Yes, they did.
They won in a shootout over Washington, where they outshot Washington 35-20.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Tampa Bay in a shootout, where they outshot Tampa Bay 55-26.
Yes, they did.
Ooh, they beat Buffalo in a pretty convincing game. Aho had a hat trick and an assist in that game.
Yes.
And then they lost to Toronto in a game where realistically they kind of outplayed Toronto.
They
did. But Toronto just did it. They got it through.
Shalgren played well after that first goal, which whoever scored banked it off of his butt into the net. He didn't get close enough to the post, so that's what happened. But Shalgren's a young goalie. He could have broke mentally, and
but he
could have been the game.
He stood on his head for the rest of the time. Martin Necas is their top player this week with 2 goals and 4 assists. He's looking pretty good, which I'm sure they're happy about because he's a young center that they needed to take a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
The Columbus Blue Jackets played 2 games this week, both of them in Colorado, both of them in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost both of them.
That tracks.
Because I think maybe Columbus is one of the worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah.
They're just really bad. I didn't think they were going to be this bad. It might not end up being as bad as their record is right now. It's all Erica Branson's fault. But they lost that first game in Finland 6-3, and the second game 5-1. Patrick Laine did score a goal and an assist in that first game in his home Finland. It was in, I don't know that I'm going to say this right, but it was in Tampere, Finland.
It wasn't in Helsinki?
No. It was in Tampere.
There's other cities in Finland.
Weirdly enough, they're like a fairly large country. So yeah,
outside of Helsinki.
There's Helsinki and Iceland and Ice City and
that's
and
what we
Tampere.
got.
Yeah, sorry. Luckily, nobody from Finland listens to this podcast that I am aware of. So, shout out if you do though. Send us a tweet, I guess, until Twitter implodes it on itself. Thanks, Elon Musk.
Or some fermented shark. I don't know.
No, that's okay. You don't have to send us that. I don't want that. They got outshot in that second game 45-32, but they were 1-for-1 on the power play.
That's all you want. That's all you want.
They scored 1 goal, and it was on the 1 power play that they had. So, hey, take what you can get, I guess. New Jersey. Holy hell.
Is so good.
Have they been good since like that first week where I think they went 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they've lost a game since then.
They have not.
They were 3-0 this week. They beat Vancouver. They beat Edmonton. And they beat Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Vancouver's whatever. But Edmonton and Calgary, 2 pretty good teams that they beat.
Yeah. Convincingly.
Miles Wood is their top player this week. 3 goals, 3 assists. What?
I watched the Jersey.
Oh, I'm sorry. That Calgary game was in overtime.
I watched the Edmonton game, where Edmonton pretty much had control of the game, and then suddenly they're losing to the Devils.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. So remember, you guys, that first week we were like, oh, I don't know these goalies, but the goalies have gotten their shit together, and look what happens when New Jersey has like somewhat reasonably okay goaltending.
You don't need Brodeur.
No. You just, because this team theoretically should be really good, and look, they are. So there you go. Just really, New Jersey is on fire.
Dominant.
Is on
Remember
fire.
when they were chanting for the coach's head?
Yeah, and have been, I believe now 9-1 since then.
They've only been held under 30 shots twice.
They look. Now, we'll see. They're a young team. We'll see if they can keep this up the entire year.
Right.
Because sometimes with younger players, they look really good for like three quarters of the season, and then they fall off a cliff
and because
their legs fall out from under them. Because they're young. It happens. But they look good so far.
Imagine if we get all 3 New York, New Jersey teams.
I don't want that.
I mean,
I don't want that because that's the area of the country that we live in.
I know.
And it'll be so loud and obnoxious.
I'm not saying they win. If New Jersey wins, they're the farthest away from us,
I suppose. Yeah. I hate them because they're in my division, but the Islanders went 2-1 this week, beat Chicago beat St. Louis, but then got shut out by Detroit to finish off the week.
Everyone's beating St. Louis. It's not a big deal.
Well, yeah, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Washington. Don't know what's up with those three teams. I guess you can just say they're old.
Bennington's playing bad. We'll talk about them later.
Yeah. They outshot Chicago in that first game 33-22. Oh my God, excuse me. Brock Nelson had a goal and an assist in that game. He also had a goal and an assist against St. Louis. So did Anders Lee against St. Louis. Nelson is one of their players of the week with 2 goals and 2 assists in those 2 games that I just mentioned. So he had a really good week outside of that Detroit game.
Yeah.
Where no one scored.
Nope.
So Rorken played really good as well. 2-0 with a 187 goals against average and a 931 save percentage. Wow. So Rorken is looking like the goalie they thought he was. Yeah. He had a rough season last year, but the Islanders kind of
had a rough season.
General, you know. The Rangers 1-1-1 this week. The Rangers have looked kind of iffy since those first couple of weeks where they were dominant and everybody was like, these guys. Yeah. And then the last couple of weeks they've been like, okay, what's happening here? They started off the week beating Philadelphia 1-0 in overtime. Gotta love games like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where Chris Kreider scored that overtime game winner. They did outshoot Philly 36-19 in that game.
Connor Hart stood on his head.
Oh, he did. Yeah. No, Carter Hart had a great week. They then lost to Boston, as Clay mentioned before, and lost to Detroit in overtime, as Clay mentioned before.
Kubalik, I believe, scored that winner.
In the Boston game, they got outshot 37-20. Kaapo Kakko had 2 assists in that game, and in the Detroit game, they blew a 2-0 lead.
Yes, they did.
So gotta love that. Shesterkin went 1-1 this week with a 194 goals against, 927 save percentage, and a shutout. Otherwise, the kind of whatever scoring they had this week was just sort of spread throughout.
Right.
But yeah, not a terrible week, but a meh week for the Rangers. Philly had the exact same record as the Rangers, 1-1-1. As I mentioned, they lost 1-0 in overtime. They lost to Toronto by, fairly wide margin.
Yep.
Got outshot 45-25 in that game and lost 5-2.
Ooh.
But hey, they beat Ottawa 2-1.
Yes, they
in
did.
A close game. Carter Hart was 1-0-1 this week with an 0.97 goals against average and a 971 save percentage.
It's looking very good.
He looked great.
Well, that's the thing with Tortorella. You get good defensive play.
Yeah.
You get improved goalie play.
Yeah.
But
Carter Hart didn't necessarily have a horrible season last year. Just the Flyers in general were really bad last year.
He's been under a lot of pressure for years. Basically, he had that great season 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Everybody was like, oh, he is anointed as the best goalie in the league. And
then
I remember when that happened, I was like, let's have him have 2 of those years in a row, and then we can say maybe.
And then he fell off a cliff.
He fell off a cliff, and then he was okay last year. This year he's looked good.
Yeah.
So, the trials and tribulations of young goalies, essentially.
Exactly.
Because that's what Marc-Andre Fleury went through with the Penguins too. Like at the beginning of his career, everybody was like, I don't know about this kid, But then, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame now.
Right.
So. Speaking of Pittsburgh, they went 0-2-1 this week. God, he killed me. They lost to Boston 6-5. They were leading that game 5-2.
I know.
Malkin had a goal and an assist in that game. In the Buffalo, they lost 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
They led that game 3-1.
Yes,
in
they
the
did.
Third period.
Yes, they did.
Malkin had 2 assists that game. Malkin's looked pretty good this year.
He has.
I'll say Malkin, Crosby, and Gensel have looked really good for the Penguins so far.
Letang has looked okay offensively.
The defense, just kind of in general, has been the issue. Because even Tristan Jarry, who is the starter, hasn't looked that bad.
No, he hasn't. If only you had that guy Marino. What's he doing in New Jersey?
Man, shut up. He was not doing that in Pittsburgh.
I know.
And then they finished off the week losing to Seattle for the second time in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Crosby and Gensel each had a goal and an assist in that game. You know what? It really makes me mad about that game. They tied it late at 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very back and forth game, but Pittsburgh had a lot of the control of that game. And then Brian Dumoulin was just like, oh, yeah, go ahead, score. And then they lost.
But he did to his old buddy, Brandon
Tanev. Jake Gensel, their top player this week, with 2 goals and 2 assists. But I suppose Evgeny Malkin also had a goal and 3 assists this week for 4 points as well, now that I'm looking at my notes.
What if Tanev can, like, project those ghosts that he sees in those pictures into the eyes
He
of,
just
like,
has a
defenders?
superpower.
Yeah.
It's like one of those sports games that's like crazy and cartoony where they have like superpowers that can trick the other.
Yep.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mario Baseball, yes.
Yeah. Stuff. It's like Mario hockey, except Brandon Tanev is like, ooh, go spooky. Well, you know what does make me feel better about the Penguins is that the Washington Capitals went 0-2 this week.
Hey, they are 1 game ahead.
They're riddled with injuries too, so they at least have a little bit of an excuse.
41 million.
The Penguins are not, weirdly.
41 million of their cap is on IR or LTIR.
Yep. It is.
Not counting Orlov, who we don't know what
where
he's going yet.
Yeah, they haven't said what happened with him yet. But they started off the week losing to Carolina in a shootout, then lost to Vegas in overtime.
I was fine with those.
He got points in those games. Got outshot by Carolina 35-20. Got outshot by Vegas 31-21.
Yep.
Hey, Dylan Strome had 2 assists in that Vegas game, though.
He did.
Lost to Detroit 3-1, where they did outshoot Detroit 34-26. That's a bummer.
I watched that game. I ended up doing something else in the third period, and when I left with like midway through the third period, it was 1-1.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
And then I blinked.
Oh, cool.
And I blinked, and it was 3-1, and they lost.
Yep. That's Washington and Pittsburgh hockey so far the last few weeks. And then they lost to Arizona.
I mean, I watched them do that too.
Yep,
as soon as a minute came left, it was tied, and as soon as a minute's left in the game, it's like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
I think we're going to lose, and they did.
And they did. Hey, Ovechkin had 3 goals and an assist this week, scoring, I can't remember which game it was. I think it was against Detroit. He scored his 787th goal, which eclipsed Gordie Howe for the most goals with a single team by any player. So congrats, Ovi.
Crazy.
I hope you catch Gretzky. I do, because I'm tired of Gretzky having the majority of the records. So, all right.
I mean, the Ovi tax got paid a lot this week, and that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about news and injuries. Jeff Carter for Pittsburgh has been out the last week or so with a lower body injury. Sorry, it looks like I wrote a V there. Oshie and Carlson for Washington have both been placed on the IR.
Yes, they have.
I didn't write down what their injuries are, but
Oshie was a leg, and he is out for an indeterminate time. And I don't know. I think Carlson is also a lower body, but I don't know the extent of his.
And then Beck Mullenston for Washington is out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken finger that he had surgery on.
Yes,
do you know who that is? I don't.
I do, yeah.
His name is Beck. That's kind of neat.
And
all right. Well, that's the Metro. Our teams are doing terrible, but hey,
there's
New Jersey's doing pretty good.
There's other
that's
teams
fun.
that are doing great.
Yeah.
New Jersey has been that dark, like everyone's been saying that they're that dark horse for like 2 years.
Well, they just needed a goalie that can play average.
Turns out that was it. Anaheim, starting off, didn't write their record because great.
I didn't.
I know, but I did for every other team, but Florida.
Don't feel bad.
2-2 this week.
You were stressed to talk about Boston.
Fucking Boston. 2-2 this week. They beat San Jose in a shootout. They lost in a high-scoring game against Vancouver, 8-5. They beat San Jose in a shootout again.
Nice.
And then they lost to Florida in a game that I talked about already. In the second shootout win against San Jose, they were outshot 52-25.
Still won.
Yeah, they still won.
That's an indictment on San Jose.
That's the game I'm talking about when you have 2 bad teams playing each other and it's just scoring left and right.
Oh, poor John Gibson.
Poor Gibson. Poor Reimer. Like,
yeah.
They're just getting
Reimer was
shelled.
probably like, I can't believe we have 55 shots and we lost this game.
In the first game, the first San Jose game, Stolarz saved 40 of 44 shots. And then Stolarz actually played in both San Jose
Oh,
games.
my apologies,
Yeah.
Stolarz. Yeah.
48-52 in that second game.
Good God, that poor bastard. I had a friend in high school. Just really quick. He unfortunately doesn't play hockey anymore, but in high school he played for our high school team, and there was a game that went to triple overtime, and I believe he faced 90-something shots.
Yeah,
And they lost, and he
Right.
was like, "I feel bad." I was like, "Dude, you faced 90 shots."
Every once in a while you see these like games coming from like a high school where the high school team lost. They lose like 12-1, but the losing team's goalie
Faced like
110 shots.
Yeah. It's just like, well, I feel bad. It's like, did you see this past week in college football? There's this team called IMG.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, it's high school. It's high school football.
Okay.
And IMG is specifically a quote unquote high school that recruits players to put into college.
Yeah.
And then eventually the NFL. They played Toronto Prep High School, and the game got called at halftime because they were winning 96-0.
Jesus.
And I saw that because I saw people clowning on it on Twitter. I was like, why? Who scheduled this game?
Right.
IMG is specifically a football school.
I didn't know they had mercy rules in high school games.
I think, well, from what I read, it's if both coaches agree and the referee agrees, they can just be like, this game is now over.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't want to keep playing that game.
No, not at all.
It's just boring at that point. Sorry, go ahead.
In the Vancouver loss, Gibson faced 46 shots and he saved 39 of them. And
Good
in
God.
the Florida loss, Gibson faced 47 shots and saved 43.
I think John Klingberg has negative value right now.
He had 5 assists this week.
I'm talking defensively.
Well, he was never a good defenseman.
Well, I know but that's true. I guess that's true.
He was never a good
But he signed
defenseman.
with Anaheim, I'm assuming, to be traded at the trade deadline for something.
Yeah.
And I think if I was a contender and they were like, "Do you want John Klingberg?" I'd be like, "No."
It's a good thing he got $7 million this
Yeah, right.
year. Like
somebody will sign him next year, but not for $7 million. No.
There's a reason he fired his agent. 10 for 16 on the penalty kill.
Oh my God.
Power play's
so
fine.
bad.
Power play's fine. It's average, whatever. Troy Terry. I'm giving them a top player because he had 1 goal and 6 assists this game.
Hey, that's great.
They
yeah.
put up a lot of points.
They went 2-2. They don't deserve to not have a top player.
They put up a lot of points. They scored 19 goals in 4 games.
And they lost 2 of those games.
Yes, they did.
It's insane.
Oh, I got to scratch 2 of it. They put up 17 goals because
the shootout
wins.
doesn't actually,
it doesn't actually count.
It's not technically a goal.
They gave in 22.
It's so funny.
They gave 22 goals away.
Oh my God, Anaheim, just play defense.
No,
Let Trevor Zegras do whatever he wants. Everybody shut up about it.
they're doing it. That's what they're
But
doing.
no, but like have everyone else play defense.
All right, we're gonna move on to Calgary, who went 0-2-1 this week. They were on a slide actually.
Yeah,
They're on
yeah.
like a 5-game slide. 5-4-1 overall. They lost to Seattle to start the week.
Seattle has not looked bad.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to them in
That's
a
true.
few minutes.
They were winning, I believe. I might be blending games in my head. I think Seattle scored a couple goals at the very end to take that win away from them. Then they
That's
lost to
gut-wrenching.
Nashville.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
And then, like Bert said, they lost to New Jersey in overtime. And it's a good thing that they lost to them in overtime. Like
They got a point out of it at
they
the
got
very
a point
least.
out of it. Power play was worthless. And then the penalty kill was 10 for 13. They don't get a top
It's
player.
not horrid, but it's
Not good.
good.
Not what you want.
Yeah, nah, that's not top player.
You don't get a top player.
Nah.
Edmonton. The only reason they're getting a top player is because of the exact same thing that you were talking about. McDavid and Draisaitl will put up ungodly numbers, and they'll lose 2 out of the 3 games this week.
Yeah. I kind of feel bad for them because they're clearly very good players, and it's just like the team they built around them is like they're doing okay this year. I'm not trying to crap on them.
They're 7-5 right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
1-2 this week. Hyman is playing well. Nugent Hopkins.
That's
is
true.
playing well.
I feel like this team that they've put together, it feels like it looks better.
Yes.
With Evander Kane.
Their
and
goalies have improved as well. Evander Kane is playing very well.
Yeah.
But they beat Nashville 7-4, but then they lost to New Jersey in that game where, again, they were pretty much in control, and then suddenly New Jersey flipped a switch.
Yep.
2 goals in a minute, I think, something like that, maybe less, and then they're behind.
Yep.
And then they got kind of stomped by Dallas to end the week.
Dallas has looked really good this year. Yeah.
4 for 14 on the power play. It's not good, but it's okay.
That's
okay.
Fine, yeah.
Again, same as the past 2 weeks, 4 for 8 on the penalty kill. What was that? He's banging stuff.
I don't know. That was weird. Barf.
4 for 8.
That person heard about those whatever that noise was. They heard about those penalty kill numbers and were like, "Wow, that's bad." Clang, clang, clang.
They were 4 for 8 last week too.
Were they really?
Yes, they were.
Oh my god!
Past 2 weeks, they've been
bad.
50% on the penalty kill.
How can you be that bad and not be Vancouver?
No, who knows?
Oh my
who
god!
Knows? Draisaitl and McDavid both had 3 goals and 4 assists.
Yeah,
and Kane had a hat trick against Nashville. They're putting up goals.
Yeah, they're putting up goals. They're just not stopping goals.
In that Nashville game, Kane had a hat trick while Draisaitl had 1 goal and 4 assists.
I think the biggest question with Edmonton right now, clearly not scoring, defense and
special teams.
Yeah, and special teams is the biggest problem because they got Jack Campbell
and Skinner. Stuart Skinner's
playing better than Jack Campbell. So it's better than Mike Smith.
Yeah,
And Stuart Skinner last year.
No, it was Kokkonen. Nope.
Koskinen.
Yeah.
There's so many guys that have almost the same name. There's Kakko, there's Kokkonen, there's Koskinen, there's Kapanen.
Go back to Europe.
You damn Finns. Go back to Finland.
All right, we're gonna go.
Just kidding. Stay.
Please stay.
Like you, Finland. Love you. Tempere.
Jesus. Los Angeles 2-1-1 this week. They're looking okay.
Better.
7-6, 7-6-1.
Better than they were.
They
were looking real bad.
They
the first couple of weeks.
Stomped St. Louis. Where Quick looked like Quick, going 27 for 28.
Old man Quick. One-eyed Quick.
Lost to Dallas.
Yeah, a lot of teams are losing to Dallas.
Lost to Chicago in overtime. That one was
questionable. You don't like to lose to Chicago.
No, you only face 19 shots.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they beat Florida to finish the week.
Hey, there you go.
Which led to the, Tkachuk scramble.
Yeah.
Also, they had to deal with Binnington.
I don't throwing Molotov cocktails at them or something.
Basically,
with words. I saw. Didn't he get pulled in that game?
Yes,
and then he jawed at their.
Yes.
At their.
He was jawing at their bench after he got pulled. He
are you sure you wanted to trade Ville Husso in the offseason, St. Louis?
Who did he bump? He bumped a goalie after he was getting pulled.
Great.
For a game where he got
He is
shelled.
not a good sport.
No.
Jordan Binnington is not a good sport.
Fragile person.
Yeah.
Because I just remember him swinging that stick in Kadri's face.
He's the Elon Musk of hockey right now.
Quentin Byfield. I didn't mention or forgot to put this in my injury news. He's been out for a little bit.
Yeah.
But he just got sent to the Ontario Reign for a conditioning stint.
Oh, that's good.
Because
I hope
he's been
he gets
sick.
over these injuries and sicknesses because it's kind of hampered him. He's only 20 or something.
Well, he came to the league and he had a broken ankle or something like that.
They knew that, yeah.
That came over Mike. That neck crack did.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm sure that my neck is not supposed to do that
No, probably not.
as much as it does.
No, he's been sick, so he lost apparently like 20 pounds over these past 2
God.
weeks.
Wow.
A week, 2 weeks with that illness. So this is straight up a
That's horrible.
conditioning.
Although I would love that illness. If I could lose 20 pounds in a couple of weeks just from being sick, bring it on.
What if it was all muscle?
Whatever.
Okay, fine.
It probably would be.
Their special teams was adequate, average, fine,
Yeah.
whatever, nothing.
I'm just kidding.
Talk
I don't
about.
want to be sick.
Kevin Fiala.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you go.
1 goal and 4 assists is their top player. It's
pretty good.
Did get 3 of those assists against St. Louis, but
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Moving on to San Jose. We talked about 2 of those games.
I just saw their record. I was like,
San Jose is 8-3.
Yep.
Because they lost all 3 games in a shootout this week.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, 2 of those games were against Anaheim.
Boy, oh boy.
And they lost to Florida. Florida in a shootout.
In a shootout too.
Yep.
Yeah,
So you got 3 shootout losses.
Hey, you got 3 points this week though.
You got 3 points. And again, tied all 3 games after overtime. Like, they were in every single game.
They were there.
Like I said, in the Anaheim game, they outshot Anaheim in the second Anaheim game 52-25.
It's insane.
That
is absolutely insane.
The first one was closer. But their special teams and their power play were good. And penalty kill, like 3 for 10 and 6 for 7. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Erik Karlsson is on fire.
Yeah,
He's
that man,
back to his
he
old...
looks like old Erik Karlsson.
Yes.
Yeah.
4 goals, 4 assists in those 3 games.
God damn. He already
Plus his
doesn't he have 10
first-
goals already this
yes,
year?
he does.
Yeah,
He got his
that's
first
insane.
career hat trick
Yeah.
this week against Anaheim in the first loss.
It's insane. I saw some talking head was like, is there a trade possibility with Erik Karlsson?
We
I'm like,
talked.
maybe.
We talked a little bit about
If
this
he's doing
last week.
this, yeah, maybe.
But it has to be like
They have to retain 50% of his deal.
minimally. They have to retain 25%. If they're retaining 50,
I would say they have to retain 50
I-
with what the cap is right now.
it's 11.5 cap hit. I
Yeah.
agree. They should be retaining 50%.
Just with what the cap is currently, and hopefully it'll jump by like 4 million, like Bettman or whoever said that. Hopefully it does, and that means that absorbing that won't be that bad next year. But right now, that's not.
He's not going anywhere.
It's really hard for a contender to make that possible.
He is chronically injured, so if he does this, if he has this game,
Apologies.
if he keeps this up the rest of the season, and then keeps playing like this at the beginning of next year,
He might get traded in the summer. I could see it happening in the off season when there's a lot of cap to be had, but.
right? Not this year. Not this year.
Not right now, unless there is some contender like Boston or whoever. Excuse me, that
Most
has.
contenders are cap strapped. He's not going anywhere.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that it's somebody that has somebody on LTIR loses a defenseman to LTIR that frees up $6 million or something with that LTIR move. Maybe then they can trade for him, but that would have to be 50% retained. And his contract runs for like 6 more years or something. So,
I also want to mention Timo Meyer, who had 4 goals.
another guy that they're like, maybe they'll trade him.
Well, this week he had 4 goals and 2 assists. And the first 2 weeks he was very much invisible. So they needed him to step up, and this past week he did. Yeah. So if he can keep up, because he was their top scorer last year. So
I saw an article this week that was like, should they sign him or should they trade him? I'm like, if he keeps up this week's production or at least similar to this week's production until the trade deadline, you could certainly get quite a lot for him because he's not that old either.
No,
he's like
pretty
25 or something like that.
we're going to go on to Seattle.
Seattle.
3-0 this week.
Yep.
3-0 this week. They are 7-4-2.
They look good.
For the first time
pretty good.
in their existence, they were above 500.
They're looking pretty dang good.
They are. Those wins against Calgary, the shutout Minnesota, and then that win against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
They're looking very good. Martin Jones is playing well.
They look like a much more competent team than they did last
really
year.
do.
Yeah.
Martin Jones got a shutout with 22 for 22.
Martin Jones has had a rejuvenation of his career,
which is good
in
to
Seattle.
see.
Yeah.
You like seeing guys bounce back. He had a 9.71 save percentage this week with
he played great
with 1 goal against in the two wins that he got this week. They're
and 2 goals against.
Yeah, 2 goals.
Well,
against.
he played against Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah, but he didn't play against Calgary.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. He got a shutout. Yeah.
Duh. They were perfect on the penalty kill. In fact, added to it with a shorthanded goal. Power plays, whatever. Yanni Gord, 2 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah.
He's there.
They look
their
good.
Top player.
They look good.
Really good.
Look at them. Usually, I mean, Vegas notwithstanding, but every other expansion team has been horrible for like 5+ years until they finally got it together. Seattle, I mean, at least in the first month, has looked fairly okay.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. Vancouver, 1-1-1 this week.
Less okay.
Less okay. There's 3-6-3.
Yep.
They did what everyone else has been doing and lost to the Devils.
Yeah.
Took out all frustrations on Anaheim with Kuzmenko getting his first career hat trick.
Oh, yeah. He was their big Russian signing this offseason.
Yep, he got that entry-level signing, and he looks like what they thought he was going to be.
That's good.
Which is not going to be good for their cap later.
No.
But he's looking
Hopefully
very good.
they're like, please let the cap go up. Please let the cap go up.
Please. And they lost in a shootout to Nashville.
Nice.
Um,
Or, well, I guess not nice. Nice for Nashville.
Yeah, nice for Nashville. Bo Horvat and Elias Pettersson both had 6 points this week. 4 goals and 2 assists for Horvat, 1 goal and 5 assists for Pettersson. Now, special teams.
Tell me.
All right, the power play. 5 for 10.
Great. That's amazing.
They gave up 1 shorthanded goal, so it's 4 for 10.
4 for 10. Still pretty good.
Penalty kill is 5 for 9.
Yikes.
Yeah, make it 6 for 9 because they got a shorthanded back.
It's all JT Miller's fault.
JT Miller in the Nashville game had a goal and assist. He actually been playing.
I know.
Better.
I'm just parroting things I've seen online.
Man, it's really It's really funny how toxic every single team,
every team of any sport. Their online presence, their fans' online presence is so toxic.
I just mean the general media for almost all the Canadian teams. Well, Vancouver's, Toronto's, Montreal's, and Edmonton's.
Right.
So
especially Toronto and Montreal's.
Yeah, and Edmonton's.
And Edmonton's, yeah.
They're so hateful to their own those teams.
Well, like there's sports media in the United States that's like that too. I can think of New York being like that.
Yankees specifically.
Pittsburgh's media is like that too,
especially with the Steelers.
Well, with the Steelers and the Penguins to a certain extent, but especially the Steelers, because the Steelers aren't doing particularly well this year. And me as a Steelers fan, I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen this year, and you guys are acting like the sky is falling.
Right.
I'm like, what did you expect this year?
It happens.
They're starting a rookie, whatever. But they're kind of doing that to the Penguins too, where they're like, yes, the Penguins have lost 7 straight games. No, they have not looked good. I agree with you, but they're like,
they look good for 2 periods.
Yeah, and then they blow it.
Yeah,
and like you can make good points, but then the Pittsburgh fan base is like, oh, blow the team up. I'm like, no,
get rid of the
coach. Fire the coach. No. He won you 2 championships. Give him a leash.
We know what this is happening.
Especially with the Steelers, I'm like, how do you not expect this to happen? It's gonna happen eventually.
It happens.
You have to be bad eventually.
It happens to everyone.
It happens to every team.
Vegas right now is not that. They're 3-0 this week.
Yeah,
they're at the top of the, if not the West, definitely the Pacific.
Definitely, They're really close to being they're very close to Boston. Boston, I believe, has the best record.
Boston's the top.
Vegas is second, I think.
I think you're right. No. Vegas has the better record because Boston's 10-2. Vegas is 11-2.
Oh, you're right. Vegas has the top record then.
3-0, 11-2, beating Washington in overtime, like Bert mentioned. Like I talked about already in the Atlantic, beating Ottawa and beating Montreal.
I'm just double checking the standings. Sorry.
4 for 10 on the power play, which is pretty good. Penalty kills, not great, but whatever. Jack Eichel is their top player with 1 goal and 3 assists. That 1 goal being that overtime game winner against.
Let me just say the top
Washington.
3 teams in the league right now. Vegas, number 1, 11-2. Boston, number 2, 10-2. The New Jersey Devils, 9-3.
Yep.
And then Dallas Stars, 8-3-1.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
One of these teams is not like the other. One of these teams is the Devils.
For now.
For now.
Maybe they'll be like the other.
And the other one is the Dallas Stars.
Yeah. Anaheim, we're going to go with injuries, and there's no news, just injuries. Derek Grant for Anaheim is day-to-day with an upper body.
I
keep forgetting
forgot that guy was in the league.
For Calgary, Michael Stone is on the IR with an undisclosed injury. He left early. Oh, shoot. I forget which game. The second game is. And then Chris Tanev is day-to-day with an upper body. And finally, Jared McCann is back on the day-to-day list with a lower body. He's been fighting something,
Tweaked something.
Playing games, going off. He's been hit and miss since the beginning of the season. Playing well when he's playing. But,
Shout out Jared McCann.
But he's got to play. Now I'm done.
Now you're done. All right. Let's run through the Central really quick. The Arizona Coyotes went 2-1 this week. Look at them. Look at that. Maybe they should just play at ASU for the rest of the time. They won't, but
maybe.
They beat Florida 3-1. Got outshot in that game 42-21.
Their goalie, I can't remember his name. Vejmelka is playing out of his mind.
Arizona was 2 for 4 on the power play in that game. Vejmelka made 41 of 42 saves. They got stomped by Dallas 7-2. A gentleman named Masili had 2 assists in that game. Don't know who that is. I apologize to that guy. I know you're listening. But then they beat Washington to round out the week. They got outshot in that game 36-26.
Washington was
Nick Ritchie had 2 goals.
Washington was 2-0 up.
Yes, they were. Their top player this week was Karel Vejmelka.
Yeah.
2-0.
Either that or Ritchie.
Either that or Ritchie. He was 2-0 this week with a 2.49 goals against, 9.33 save percentage. Clearly, he did not play against Dallas. Or wait, no. 2.49. He must have played against Dallas. He must have gotten pulled against Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I'm touching my mouse right now. All right, let's move on to Chicago. 1-2. They lost to the Islanders 3-1. As I mentioned before, they beat LA in overtime, as Clay mentioned, and then they got shut out by Winnipeg. Their penalty kill against Winnipeg?
Ooh.
1 for 4.
Yeah, I had a couple of those.
1 for 4 in that game. Jonathan Toews did have the overtime game winner against LA, but they do not get a top player.
No, they don't.
Nah. In a week where you scored 3 goals but somehow won a game, you don't get a top player. Let's move on to Colorado. As I mentioned before, they only had 2 games this week. Both of them are against Columbus, and both of them were in Finland. They won that first game 6-3 and won the second game 5-1.
Where's the leak, ma'am?
In that first game, they were 2 for 5 on the power play. Mikko Rantanen had 3 goals and an assist. What?
The Kings were 1 for 4 in the penalty kill against Dallas.
Barf.
That's what it was.
Mikko Rantanen had 3 goals and an assist in that game in Finland, where he is from.
Yep.
Big time for him.
They went crazy there.
Yeah, the Finns for those 2 teams scored, as I mentioned before. Laine scored in that game too. Nathan McKinnon had 4 assists in that game.
Wow.
I believe he plays on the same line as Mikko Rantanen, so
Yeah,
that
so
makes
it
sense.
tracks. It tracks.
In the second game, they were 0 for 1 on the penalty kill, as I mentioned before. They outshot Columbus 45-32. Nathan McKinnon and Cal McCarr each had 3 assists, and Nathan McKinnon obviously had 7 assists this week for their top player.
I think that kid's good.
Yeah, I think he's good.
I think he's
he
like the
warrants being paid the highest in the
paid
league
of all. Yeah.
for now, until
McDavid?
Pasternak's contract gets figured out
Or
with Boston,
or Matthews when his
Matthews
has got like 2 years left.
It'll be. I don't even know if I think he has this year and next year left.
Yeah, that's right.
And Matthews is already at like 11 million.
Yeah.
I'm sure Matthews will be the highest paid.
I mean, he kind of deserves it.
Oh, he absolutely
He
does,
does.
with the goal scoring. Not that Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid do not, but Matthews scored 60 goals last year.
Well, also he's in the conversation for Selke on top of that. Like,
and he's in Toronto,
right.
who is the richest team.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, little side note, Forbes came out with their, like, how much each team is worth, and the average NHL team is worth $1.01 billion.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
It's good.
That's pretty good for what I think most people would assume is the 4th most popular league in North America.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe 3rd. I don't know how many people really care about baseball that much anymore.
It's still up there.
They'll never catch football and basketball.
No.
They could overtake baseball, though. I'm just saying.
They've been tight. Oh, I know this is none of the sports. Philadelphia became
I lost 2 championships
on the same day.
Yeah. Shout out Philly.
MLS and the World Series on the same day.
Shout out Philly. Love you.
The Philly game, they lost in extra time with 4 minutes of added time on extra time.
What a bummer.
120 plus 4.
Couldn't happen to a nicer city.
I know, right?
Let's talk about Dallas, who went 3-0, and Dallas has looked so good this year so far.
Yes, they have.
And I'll say, I was really questioning Dallas.
I was
to
too.
begin this year. I was like, they barely did anything in the offseason. I don't know.
Nashville is doing what we thought Dallas was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dallas beat LA 5-2, where they were 3 for 4 on the power play, like you just mentioned. Robertson and Hintz both had 3 points in that game.
Yes, they did.
Then they stomped the Coyotes, like I just mentioned. Ben had a goal and 2 assists. Robertson had 2 goals in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they beat the crap out of Edmonton, too.
Yes, they did.
Where they were 2 for 3 on the power play in that game. Jamie Benn had 3 goals.
You let Jamie Benn get a hat trick.
Also known as a hat trick. And, hey, Jason Robertson had a goal and 2 assists in that game.
2 of those goals were on a power play, but still.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You let Jamie Benn get a hat trick.
Jamie Benn and Jason Robertson each had 4 goals and 4 assists this week.
Sort of like Draisaitl and McDavid numbers.
Hell yeah. Except in Dallas, and it's Jamie Benn, who you would not expect to score that much. So yeah, Dallas looks really good so far. Minnesota looks
fine,
not as good. They beat Montreal 4-1 to begin the week. Kaprizov had 2 goals in that game, but then no one scored against Seattle, and they got shut out 4-0. Kaprizov is their top player with 2 goals.
I believe I saw Fleury had like a 9 save, 1 save percentage in the Montreal game.
Fleury has played better,
since
the first couple of weeks, but
they got shut out.
Yeah, they got shut out. So that's not on Fleury.
No,
they got shut out. Nashville went 2-1, so they're starting to turn their season around a little bit. They did lose to Edmonton to begin the week. Nashville was 2 for 2 on the power play in that game.
Yeah. They were
adding to the piss poor Edmonton penalty kill.
Yes,
they got outshot in that game, 37-23. However, Philip Forsberg had a goal and 2 assists in that game. Nashville then beat Calgary. Forsberg 4-1 was that game. Forsberg and Duchesne each had a goal and an assist, and then they beat Vancouver in a shootout, like Clay mentioned.
West Coast road trip for Nashville.
Yeah, some guy named Gross had 2 goals in that game.
Good for him.
For Nashville. And Forsberg was their top player with 2 goals and 3 assists. Well, really in those first 2 games, I guess. But hey, over 500.
Yep.
A team that was not over 500 for the week was the St. Louis Blues, who went 0-2.
Yeah.
Continuing their pretty confusing beginning to the season. They got stomped by LA 5-1, where Binnington lit up 4 goals on 17 shots.
Yeah, it's bad.
Make sure you bitch at the other team's bench
when
there,
you get
Binnington.
pulled.
Yeah, no, you looked really good. And then they lost to the Islanders 5-2.
He shoulder bumped Sorokin. Like, that's what he was doing in that game. He, skating by and tried to,
he lit up 4 goals on 29 shots in that game. So, Binnington looked bad.
Yeah, he did.
He's not looked good. Tarasenko did have a goal and an assist in that second game. Man, they do not get a top player.
Nah.
Winnipeg only played 2 games this week, but they won both of them. Winning in overtime against Montreal, where Dubois and Connor each had a goal and an assist. Connor had the overtime game winner.
Dubois wants to play.
Well, maybe he'll get his opportunity to do that. I don't know. But then they shut out Chicago, as I just mentioned a little bit ago, where they were 3 for 4 on the power play. Dubois and Morrissey each had a goal and an assist. Connor Hellebuck, 30-save shutout. And Dubois is their top player this week with 2 goals and 2 assists. Excuse me. And now to round out the week, let's talk about news and injuries.
Yep.
Ottinger is week to week with a lower body injury for Dallas, but they're still winning games.
Yeah.
So, take your time, I guess. Logan Stanley for Winnipeg out a few weeks with a fractured foot. Chicago has many goalie injuries, and they are down to Dylan Wells and Arvid Soderblom. Do you know who those are?
I know Soderblom.
Shut up.
Yeah, I know the name
You know
Soderblom.
him personally, huh?
Yeah, of course. He's a good dude.
Okay. Well, for most people, you do not know who those guys are.
Soderblom played well. Wait. Does Philly have a guy named Soderblom?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's who I'm thinking of.
Jordan Greenway and Hartman are both heading to the IR with upper body injuries for Minnesota.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a bummer. That's it.
Fine.
That's it for this week. We had a lot of talk about bad PR for
So
Boston.
sorry that I had to talk about Boston.
It had to be talked about, though. We
Yeah.
had to talk about it.
And I'm sorry my brain makes that a little scattered shot.
It's okay. We hit the main points. Yeah. But thank you guys, as always, for listening to us. This Bell's Lager of the Lake was pretty good.
It's yummy.
I finished all 3 of mine.
I have to drive.
Yeah, Clay
I'll
has to
finish
drive,
with
so that's fair.
when I get home. I watch the Ravens do whatever they do.
Maybe the one.
Maybe. I don't know. Caps are playing Edmonton tonight. I might watch that game.
They play the Penguins on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Somebody has to win that
Someone's
game.
gotta
Someone's
lose.
got to win that
Someone's
game.
gotta lose that
Someone's
game.
got to lose that game.
Shootout.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. You can find us wherever podcasts are found. We do have a YouTube channel. Rate, review, subscribe where applicable. And that's it. We'll see you next week for a whole bunch more hockey shenanigans.
Hopefully it's just hockey.
Hopefully
it's just hockey.
Hopefully we're just talking about the games and we're not.
If it's a couple of suspensions, fine.
Hopefully we don't have to talk about outside hockey bullying stuff again. Please.
Only the second or third time since we started this podcast.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
But hey, we'll find out about that at the same puck time.
Same puck plays.
Bye-bye.
Bye.